Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chris O Show. You could be listening on any of our audio outlets like Spotify, or we're on YouTube. We're also on Your TV Muskoka. So if you're watching us there, thank you so much. Or, of course, all of our stuff is on MuskokaUnlimited.com. Wherever you're listening, wherever you're tuning in, wherever you're watching, thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate your support. Today, I have a wonderful, wonderful guest, a fantastic lady I've known for a long time, Wendie Donabie. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
So, Wendie, part of why we're here and why we're chatting today is because you have a new book coming out, which is so cool. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all the other amazing things you do, the gallery, everything. Because let's just do a nice
Let's
big
do the whole thing.
a celebration of Wendie. And
Okay.
but yeah, let's start. You got the new book. It's so cool, and I want you to describe a little bit. Oh, there you go. Views from the Edge of the Earth. I
Yep.
love it. So let's start with what is the book about, and it's a collection of poetry, or is that what I believe it is?
Yes, it's a collection. I call them poetic reflections
Okay.
because they're when people think about poetry, a lot of people who don't know poetry would think, a rhyming verse is a poem, but poetry comes in many different forms. So a lot of it is more what would be considered prose poetry. So it's more narrative in its style, more like very short story. They're not long poems. I think the one poem is 3 pages long. That's the longest one. Most of them are quite short.
Yep.
I tend to write short. I don't get into a lot of detail. What happened that resulted in the book was I've always painted about nature because I that's what I like to paint. I like to look at the beauty of the earth, and there's so much going on right now with climate change, and we're losing species, and we're destroying so much of the earth. I could paint those kind of things, but I don't want to paint the negative. I want to paint what's beautiful to
Yep.
remind people of what we're going to lose. So the inspiration for the book actually came from doing 4 poetry marathons, and annually a couple in Toronto run this marathon by Zoom, and you can either do 24 hours or 12. I usually do 12. I'm not
Yeah.
crazy enough to do 24. And what I did the last 2 years was I used my paintings as inspiration to write poetry.
Gotcha.
So most of those, not all of them, because some of them I didn't feel were good enough, but the ones that I felt were good enough are in the book. But I also, years ago, was in Cape Cod for an extended period of time, and I wrote a whole series of poems about the ocean and the sea. So they're in the book as well.
Lovely.
So everything's either from the last 2 years or many years ago when I was in Cape Cod. And my thought about writing the book was, I wanted to do something that was my contribution to saying to people, come on, we've got to do something. We have to pull together, forget all the differences in between us. This is our home and we have to save it because we
Nice.
don't have another one. And going to another planet, it just means we're going to screw up another planet.
Yeah.
Like let's get this one fixed. So my book is kind of a very gentle call to action.
Nice. I love it. That's lovely though. And I love that, you're like, let's look at all the beauty out there, and yeah, we're gonna lose it if we're not careful. And I
Yep.
think that only the most blinded person would not realize that, and with those blinders on saying, nothing you say is real. Because we need to, and we need to protect it. And I think that sharing the beauty in the world is what touches people's souls and will get them to then be more active, be more
I hope so.
responsible, be more
Exactly.
aware.
Yeah.
And no, I think that's wonderful. That's wonderful. What did you? So some of, like you said, some of the poems were from, you know, Cape Cod and trips before, and some were from more recent or using your paintings as that inspiration. Um, what was it that like kind of was the kind of steering factor? And you said, I know you want to protect the environment, but what was something that said, you know what, I got to do this in a book. Like I got to put it all together. It's not just for me anymore. I want everybody else to see it.
I think a few friends had encouraged me to do that. That was
Oh, okay.
part of it. And then the last marathon I did, one of the prompts they gave one day was write a poem about a view from the edge of a flat earth.
Oh,
That
okay.
was the prompt. Okay. So that got me. I wrote this very short piece, and it was not like something I would normally write.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, matter of fact, when a friend heard me read it, she says, "Oh my God," you know, and because it's the first poem in the book. And so
Yeah.
it's a shocker in a way, right?
Okay.
It's very, very sharp. It's a shocker. And that was what it was. And that's how I got the title for the book. Because then when I thought about all the other poems, they're all views
Yes.
from not from the edge of the earth, because the edge is this like precarious state that I feel,
Yes.
the edge of the earth. Yeah. And the other thing about the book was, oh yeah, they said you're going to do it all in color, right? Oh yeah, right. I don't have that kind of money. Because doing a book in color would just be so expensive. Years ago, I did a coffee table book, which
Yeah.
was maybe only about 25 or 30 pages.
Yeah.
And that cost for one book, it was cost like $20. So
Just for you to do it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this one's 150 something pages. Can you imagine? Because there's 76 images in it of paintings and photographs.
Oh
And to do
wow.
that all in color would have been crazy. So it ended up, it's in black and white,
Yeah.
you see?
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
paper is buff, it's recycled paper.
Nice.
And when I got the book, I said, I'm glad I did it this way, because this is what's going to happen if we don't save the earth. It's going to
Yeah.
just this black, gray thing,
Yeah.
floating in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Making another, and I love using recycled paper because it's really good now. They've actually very
Mhm.
much improved the process. It used to not be
Yes.
that good, but
No, no.
now, like I even know, shout out to Dockside. I even know Dockside uses recycled paper and stuff
Oh,
at
that's
times.
great.
Yeah,
Wow.
and you don't even know because of how good the stuff is done and
Paper is. Yeah.
all that, right? So, and it's all recyclable again, everything, right? So that's really good.
Mhm.
It's like reuse, recycle, do good stuff. So that's no, I love that you did that. And black and white is fine, like
Mhm.
because you self-published, right? Like,
Mhm. I did.
yeah.
I did. To
So
do as a poet, to get a book of poetry published, you really have to have a lot of publishing credits. And I have some, but
yeah,
I don't have enough.
yeah,
And I need to have them in some literary magazines. So my next group of poems, as I start writing, I will be submitting them and trying to get some literary credits for a next book that maybe I can go to a traditional publisher. And if it doesn't
yeah,
work, I'll just self-publish again. There's so many of us doing that. And the
yeah.
company I use is great. They're in Quebec and they do a beautiful job. It's the fourth book, I guess, I've helped to publish for other
Okay,
people. This is
yeah.
my own. Yeah.
Oh, nice, awesome. So yeah, and that's the thing is it's actually the one thing. Did you have anyone kind of proofread it before you sent it, or you
Well,
just
I
say,
have
I'm doing it?
no, I didn't hire a proofreader, but I belonged to two critique groups and I had all of them read it,
Oh,
three-fourths
nice,
to make sure,
nice.
and they still missed something. So so when I got the books back, I realized I had made one error. I mean, it's not a big deal, but
Yeah,
it's a big deal to me in a sense, because at the very end of the book, let's have a page of thanks and
yes,
acknowledgments, right?
yes.
Okay, so it should be on the right-hand side. No, it's on the left-hand side because I forgot to put in one extra blank page.
Oh,
So that was funny. And I think I found one other line should have been on the next page. So when it comes out on Amazon,
yeah.
it's perfect.
Oh
It's
God,
been fixed.
it's been fixed.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that's what I was gonna ask. So where can people buy it? And I guess so you're gonna sell them on Amazon. Is there anywhere else?
Well, first of all, they can always get them from me here at the gallery.
Perfect.
But as of tomorrow, they'll be in Cedar Canoe in Huntsville.
Oh, awesome.
And yeah, and they'll be in the shipyards in Gravenhurst on June the 8th. I'm doing a book signing there on June the 8th from 10
Beautiful.
till 2.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to get them into Aurelia, but I haven't heard back from them yet. I've got to talk to them.
Yep.
So they're all those places. Yeah, and then the
Oh,
book launch
nice.
on the 2nd of June as well in
Yeah, and
Bracebridge.
let's talk about the book launch.
Okay.
What can
So
people how can the people get involved? How can they come? What can they see? What's going
okay.
on?
So on June the 2nd, which is a Sunday from 4 to 6,
Yep.
the book launch will be at MAC on Main, which is the Muskoka Arts and Crafts new art gallery
Yeah.
at 63 Manitoba Street in Bracebridge.
Awesome.
Just a beautiful location. It's by invitation, but this is kind of an invitation. So if people want to come, I just
Yeah.
ask them maybe to let me know they're coming. It's so that I've got enough refreshments. It's not going to be like a meal, but just
No.
so there's a little nibble for somebody to have with a drink.
Yeah.
And so at 4 o'clock it starts, 4:30, give or take. I'm going to just do a very short presentation about the
Yeah.
book, why I did it, how it came about, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
Mhm.
So yeah. So don't just show up.
If people do, they do.
They
But
do.
if they could let me know, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they can just send an email to info@wendiedonabie.com. So that's
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Mhm.
That's it. Done. And I'll put a link to it when I post this and stuff so
Great.
anybody can, find out and send you a message and good to go. I'll put a link to the gallery and everything and all that stuff. Before we get into some other stuff, like because you do a ton of creative things, and I want to talk about all the stuff you do just because why not? And we're here and
Okay.
we're chatting. But one thing about writing poetry and writing, what when did you start? Like when did you say, "Oh, I got a bug to do this"?
I guess I really started when I was 20 something. I
Okay.
didn't, I, w- I wrote little stuff when I was a
Yeah.
kid, but really, my first husband sounds like I have had a dozen, but anyway, my first husband gave me this notebook, and it was just a blank notebook. And he said, "Here, this is for you to start doing some writing." And I filled it. And that was kind of when I started doing some poetry. And I
Nice.
joined a writing group, and I was living in, uh, where was I living? Gosh, Mississauga, I think, at one point, joined a writing group. And then
Nice.
when I moved up here, the first thing I did was went to the library in Bracebridge, and they had a great writing group, and I just continued from there.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
it's I mean, I've worked on some other shorter things, like, or longer things, I should say, a couple of novels I had in the works.
Yep.
But when I was decided to put this book together, I kind of set them aside. And now I don't know really whether I'll go back to those novels, or maybe I'll take the whole idea of ecology and come up with some other idea for another novel. Or
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens next.
No, but that's awesome because I was wondering, like, when people kind of said, "Oh, I know I want to do this," right? And and myself, like, I always wrote stuff. Like, even when I was a kid, I wrote. I think we still
Yeah.
have them somewhere, but my dad had kept them like a bunch of little books and drawings and stories that I would write,
Mhm.
right? And
Right.
then I always wrote. I always had notebooks like yourself, like a notebook and this and that, even in my teenage years and as a young adult, and then decided to do what I do for a living, right? So decided
Yeah.
I'm going to try and make a living out of it.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, yeah, as a kid, I really wanted to be a journalist.
Yeah.
My dream was to be a foreign journalist. Actually, that's what I really wanted
Oh
to do.
wow.
And then when I was 15, my dad passed away, and I think he would have really encouraged that.
Mhm.
But then life changed,
Yes.
and so I never did it. And I did take a short correspondence journalism course, way back way back years and years ago.
Yeah.
So that gave me a lot of basics.
Nice.
And so I did write a column for a Mississauga newspaper for a while,
Yeah.
and then Lori Knowles, who's a local writer
Yes.
and editor for Ski Magazine, she did an online magazine, and I wrote several articles for her when she started that magazine. So I've
Nice.
done a little bit of that too, along the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I'm chatting with Lori soon.
Good, good.
She's got some stuff happening too.
Her book is fabulous. I tell you, from beginning to end, I loved it. It's such a great story. It's really good. Yeah,
That's
Summers
awesome.
with Miss Elizabeth. It's a great book.
Yeah, we're
Mhm.
gonna chat about the book and go from there. So yeah, we're chatting soon about something as well, which is cool. All these wonderful ladies doing like these wonderful things. So it's nice. It's nice. It gives me lots of good content because
Well,
you
it's
you guys are doing
yeah,
good stuff. Helps me
good,
out.
good. Well, it's all happening through Muskoka Authors
Yeah.
Association. I mean, my Cindy Watson and I started that in 2015, and now we have membership over 80 people.
Wow.
And this year alone, we've have 4 or 5, maybe 6 people who've launched books.
Hmm.
So it's been, yeah, and it's been that encouragement, I think, and the authors we've had come to speak who've shared so much knowledge and information that's helped us all along the way. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's awesome. The Muskoka Authors Group is I've heard so many wonderful things from people who have been part of it over the years. And how can people get involved? Like you're still involved with it. How can people get involved who are wanting to?
You want to. So Muskoka Authors we have our own website, so they can just
Yeah.
go to muskokaauthors.com, and
Yep.
there's a place where they can join.
Yep.
We meet the second Thursday of every month at Bracebridge United Church.
Nice.
So we always have a speaker or someone, and
Yeah.
it's $20 if you're not a member, but if you come and you want to join, we take the $20 off the membership.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's a little bonus. Um, that's that. And the other thing that's happened is last year through your TV, through
Yeah.
Kojiko, we started a TV program called Writers Talk. I'm the host
Yes.
of that as well. And we're doing 10 more shows for them, or 8 or 10. We're not sure. We're just setting up to do more shows for the fall.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Little shameless plug. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, that's it. Exactly. Yeah. But it's a show. It'll be interesting. I mean, I've heard people in the community talk about it. They've watched it. We've had on our own people who've written books, and we've interviewed them. And this year we're going to do a few more topical kind of shows, maybe about writing poetry. How do you start if you want to write?
Yes.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Mhm.
and that's great. And you know what? I think the more that we do those kinds of community things, and yeah, we will shout out your TV because actually my wife is so funny. She hear like people that she visits, like clients of hers, will be like, "Oh yeah, I saw your husband, so I watched the show and he was talking to whoever, right?" Uh,
Yeah.
so it's cool like that they help promote all this good community stuff we've got going on and that we've all got going on. So it's awesome,
Right.
and I'm glad you're doing a show like that and helping writers and giving advice and bringing people on. And you interview people there, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
So
That's exactly what we do. Yep. Mhm.
awesome.
Mhm.
That's so good. That's so good. Well, let's switch off the whole writing thing because we could
Okay.
probably just hang out for hours talking about writing stuff. Um, let's go into some of your art
Okay.
and your studio. So let's talk about the gallery and everything that you got. What is there anything special going on there now, or what's happening?
At my space, I've really, because of the book, it's kind of gotten in the way of the art for a while. Uh, it's really hard to balance these things, right?
It is.
But I wanted to open the middle of May.
Okay.
I may open for a weekend in May. I'm not sure. It's really tricky, because
Gotcha.
really my clientele who come for the art here, it's pretty well visitors who come up. So
Yes.
the tourist season for me.
Gotcha.
Um, and so I don't have anything special except that there's always some new art in from the
Yeah.
artists that are here. Like I've got, can I tell you who's here?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 100%.
So I have stained glass from Maureen Haynes. She's in Washago.
Nice.
Iron work from Deb Harkness in Beaumaris.
Oh yeah.
Pat Whittle has paintings here, some encaustic as well as oil and acrylic paintings. Conal O'Regan has his artisan furniture, a few pieces of that here. Frank Drinkwater is a wood turner, and he's got some
Yeah.
beautiful bowls available through the gallery. And Penny Varney's jewelry is available here
Oh
as
yeah.
well. We just changed it all over from last year too. And then there's one non-Muskoka artist here. Her name is Naomi Frolick, and she's from Hamilton, but she cottages up north of Huntsville.
Oh,
And
okay.
she hand builds little bears, and I have polar bears and black bears.
Nice.
And this year there's a couple of loons, and yeah, there's those
Very
kind of,
nice.
yeah. And then there's my paintings and prints, and there's cards. We have cards available too. Yeah.
There you go.
And I try to be open on the weekends as much as possible in the summer, and then during the week, it's kind of by chance or by
Yeah,
luck.
yeah.
People can phone. Like if they go to my website, there's a phone number they can call and make an appointment and just come. I mean, or if there's a car in the driveway, I say just come and ring the doorbell.
Yeah. Yeah. If we're home, we'll let you in.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly.
Within reason. Within reason.
Within reason. Yeah. 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 Exactly. So
Oh,
I've because of the book, the painting kind of went in the back burner. I have a painting in the summer, the spring show, the
yeah.
Max Spring Show, and I've got another one on the easel. I've got four more here I have to finish, but they're like not finished, and I've got to
Yeah,
take the
yeah.
time now that I've got the book started to do
Yeah.
the painting again, get back to it.
Well, I know, and there's been so many cool things you've done, like the one, what was the one that I really loved? Oh, well, there was a couple I really loved, but the one with all the roots coming down, remember? And yeah, that one was so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. That it's actually sold last year,
Oh
um,
wow, cool.
and it was a couple who kayak, and they said it just reminded them so much of the places they see on their kayak trips, so they took that one home. That was really
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, yeah.
that's awesome.
I love it when people can relate to the piece because it somehow means something to them. There was another one I had, which was a cedar stump in the
Okay.
woods,
Yeah.
and it was just the centerpiece of this painting. And this father came in. He said, "Oh my God!" He said, "This is the place. I took my kids every year. We go to the cottage, and
Yeah.
there was this stump out in the woods, and we would go there, and we did this ritual. Like it was a family ritual about welcoming the cottage time,
Yeah.
and it just fits." So he says, "I don't know which one of them is going to fight over this when I die, though." He says, "Because they'll both want it." That was interesting. Yeah, so that's happened. I've got some art right now in Aurelia.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
just one piece, I should say, at the International Women's Show at the Aurelia Museum of Art and History. They
Oh,
put
nice.
this on show every year, and it's it's a non-juried show, and there's probably, I would say, over 100 women's pieces in this art show. I
Oh,
gotta be. It's a big show. They use the main gallery on the main floor, so it's
yeah,
quite large,
that's
and
wonderful.
all different kinds of art. It's very eclectic. It's a neat show.
That's cool. And that's on right now.
Yeah, going now until July sometime. I can't
Oh,
remember the
okay. So
date.
there's
And
some
it's until
time.
July. Hmm.
Oh, there's some time. Okay, cool. Is there other Muskoka artists that you know in there or
Janice Feast is in there, and
okay.
I don't know who else. To tell you
Okay.
the truth, I'm not sure. I go there and I say, "Oh, she's here."
Yeah, yeah. You're like, oh, I know that name. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who else is in it this year. I haven't actually gone to see the show yet. Not sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so go that's another thing you can do, everyone. You can go down to Aurelia and check that show out. There you
It's
go.
a they have a really great space there too. It's like 3 stories the building, and they've
Yeah.
usually have there's a permanent exhibit somewhere upstairs. They've had oh God, what's his name? First Nations artist from the area. Sh
Oh, I'm
no,
blanking too. I know who you're talking
you know
about.
who I mean?
Yeah.
Not Schiller. Schiller. It is Schiller, isn't it? Schiller.
Should
Yeah. Anyway, they have a number of his pieces. I think they're on permanent display there as well.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
just check it out, people. You'll see. There's so much to
Yes.
see there. Just go and have fun. And you know what's
Yeah.
cool? I love it. You know what I do love about Aurelia? It's not that far.
No, no.
It's not that far for everybody. Like even from Huntsville, it's like 45, 50 minutes to get to the top of Aurelia, right? And you just pop in and it's not far at all. And while you're there, go do some shopping.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. So on that note, I wanted to ask you, what are some of the things I know nature inspires you and stuff, but what is it that creatively really gets your juices flowing and you're like, okay, I gotta paint today. Is there anything specific or is it just random things that are you like, okay, I'm on it?
It's almost random, I'd say, because if we're away on
Yeah.
vacation somewhere and I have my camera and we go to a lot of nature parks and
Yeah.
reserves and things, and I see something that just grabs me. I get this feeling like in my gut, like I got to get this. I got to get this. So, I mean, the picture happens first, the photograph, because
Yeah.
I don't have my painting stuff, and I'm not really a fast painter. I'm slow and plodding, so
Yeah.
I have to take the photograph. So anyway, that's what gets me. It could be anything. It could be a waterfall. I love water features, like
Nice.
natural features.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love them. So waterfalls always get me. And an animal, a bird, something in an unusual location is
Yeah.
always, something special that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Even my own backyard. I mean, uh, we have so many birds, and they're all returning right now.
Yeah.
And yesterday there was a rose-breasted grosbeak on the feeder, and I was like, "Oh my God, there it is!" And they're so beautiful. And people might not think this, but the brown thrasher is quite a large bird,
Yeah.
and it's brown, but it's the
Yeah.
prettiest color brown. And this couple, they come every year and they nest somewhere in our area. We see them every day, all over the
Yeah.
grass, all over. Um, and clouds. There's another one. You see, this is something I haven't done yet, but I have thousands of pictures of clouds.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
And one day they will be featured in some artwork. Um, the other thing I love is fungus, and I'm fascinated by fungus and the whole concept of the mycelium under the ground that connects all the trees and
Yeah.
they feed each other, and the secret life of trees. Is that the right one? I think it's called The Secret Life of
Yep.
Trees by the Norwegian or Swedish author. He was a forester and he
Yeah.
used to cut down trees, and then he got to the point where he said, "What am I doing?" And he's retired, and now he plants trees. But
Yeah.
it's there's so many different fungus out there, and the variety is incredible, and they're beautiful. Some of them, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Not
I
exactly.
sometimes I do that too. I'll just go out and if we're on a trail and
Yeah,
then you see some and it's like, oh, and I'm just on the ground trying to get good angles and stuff. And I even
yeah,
and I do the clouds every once in a while. I have one of a cloud that looks like an elephant. Like
yes.
literally
Oh
the
wow,
trunk and the ear, and like everything. There's
right.
a picture I have, and I was on a boat, and we were on Wood Lake near, like out Vancouver way,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And at our friend's cottage, and we were out there, and I'm like, I look up and I'm like, and it's only on my phone. I wish I had my camera with me, right? It would have been better, but it's kind of cool because you can see the whole head. Like it's whole like out of like a movie, you know, like the shape of the thing, like a cartoon.
Yeah, I've got one like that of a horse, and I was
Oh,
in
nice.
Gravenhurst, and I had to pull over the car because I thought if I don't do this right now, it's going to be gone, right?
Yeah.
And it was a horse head. Yeah,
Yeah.
same thing.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I love that too. That's an inspiration. Sometimes it's not that I necessarily come and paint them right away, but I've got them there, and there's all this material sitting, waiting for me to do something with it
Eventually, you'll get there.
eventually. Yeah.
You'll get there. And you know what I think? This is a good note while we're chatting about this. That's something anyone watching, if you got grandkids, kids, whatever, take them outside when it's a cloudy day and let them
Yeah.
imagine. That's one of the most fun things I do with is, well, my son, my teenager, not so much anymore, but
Your dad, really?
with
Yeah.
with my pre-teenager, we still like her and I will still go out and be like, oh, that looks like a dragon, oh, that looks like that, or that look, and you start, just your imagination, and it's so good for their brains and for just everything and creativity. So yeah, that's a good point we can make.
Yeah. So the one thing I can say about the gallery too is I haven't planned anything yet, but
Hmm,
every year I've had a day where an artist will come and we'll have a display outside, and I'll
yeah,
have like a visiting artist for the day.
yeah,
So I probably will do some of that this summer. I just haven't
nice.
done those things yet, but yeah,
Okay,
probably will happen.
very cool, very cool. Well, on that note, we're down to our last minute.
Oh, there
Yeah,
you go. Wow.
it goes so fast. It goes so fast. Um, so Wendie, with all your stuff happening, let's just reiterate. We got the book launch on June 2nd,
Mhm.
right? And that's at the Mac Main, is that
Right.
gallery,
Back
right?
on name.
In
Yeah.
Bracebridge. Canoe, red canoe,
Uh,
cedar
Cedar
canoe,
Canoe. They'll
yep,
have the books tomorrow.
in
And
Huntsville.
yeah, and actually May 27th,
Yep.
I'll be in Huntsville too. I think it's the 27th, right? 27th. They're having an eco fest at Huntsville Public School,
Yeah, that is the 27th. That's right.
and
Yeah.
I'll be there with my books too. And,
Awesome.
and then June 8th at the shipyards, there'll be a book signing from 10 till 2, and maybe longer. I may be there longer than 2.
Yeah. And the shipyards is at the Gravenhurst Wharf,
Mhm.
right at the beginning of the parking lot where you would go to Boston Pizza and stuff. You'll see the shipyards at the beginning of that parking lot on the other end, and across from the steamships. So
Right.
I'm giving everybody how to get there if you've never
There you
been
go.
there before. So there you go, and that's a great little spot for you to go and share these wonderful poems. So everyone, pick up a copy of the book, stop in at all the local spots that are selling it, and support the local shops that are selling it, and support Wendie and her awesome localness. And don't forget, there's Wendie has an author show that's going to come out soon again.
In the fall. Yeah, well, it's not my show. It's Muskoka Authors show. I just
There you
happen
go.
to be the person who's sitting in the chair interviewing people.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, on that note, I say thank you for joining me, Wendie. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
You too, and thank you, Chris.
And thank you to everyone who's listening, watching, wherever you are, your TV Muskoka, MuskokaUnlimited.com. We just love and appreciate all your love and support. So there you go, and we'll see everybody soon.